got to have intentional efforts. Lastly, what do you mean? You got to do things like the animals. You got to store up. If we're going to think about the next generation and how we're going to do things, you got to store up. In the text, it's very interesting because in verses 1 through 2, David says, man, I got to build this temple. And man, if I got to build this temple, I've got to use all these, I got to gather up all these resources. So he gets into a mentality of storing, not spending. For intentional efforts, you got to think about storing up. You got to think about building different shelters. You got to think about changing your appearance and changing your dietary practices. These are the things we can learn from the animal world. Storing up, squirrel, building different shelters, beavers, changing your appearance, things like the fox, changing your dietary practices. There are some bugs that will hunt poisonous grasshoppers and then impale them in their shelter for several months, and they'll let all the poison drip out. Now, why is this important? I'm about to give you just real practical things here. An African proverb from Madagascar says this: a little rain each day will fill the rivers to overflow. Don't be mad because you don't have a river now. Because most of us don't have a river or an ocean now. You might have a stream. You might have a puddle. But a little rain, if you do it each day or each pay period, it'll build up over time. Now, let's talk about this. So storing. The question is this: one, are you spending less than you make? Real simple question. If you're not spending less than you make, then you can't store. So if I make $2,000 a month, if I make $10,000 a month, then I've got to make sure that my living costs, that's my first assignment. I don't need God on this one. I need math. Real simple. I make $2. I've got to spend less than $2. Real simple. I'm making sense. You don't need to pray about this one. You don't need to fast about this one. This one, you can do all by yourself. Whatever your number is, I make and insert your number in. I've got to spend less than that. Because if we don't get that principle down, we're doomed. If you can be a multi-millionaire, you still got to get this principle down. Because you'll have nothing to store if you spend everything you make. Right? Clear enough. So you'll have nothing to sow if you spend everything you make. So the vision is hindered by you. Your children are hindered by you. Your future is hindered by you because you violate just the rule of storing up. You can't eat everything you have. Quite simple. You want to lose weight? Never clean your plate. Somebody said, what? Never clean your plate. Take it down to half. Eat half your plate, put the rest, and put the rest up. You will lose weight. Real simple. You don't need to inject nothing. You don't need to pop no pills. You ain't got to run down the street. Very simple. Give something back. Don't eat it all. And notice you say, well, how close do I get? So building up different shelters. The second thing, building up different shelters. What do you mean by building up different shelters? See, we've got to become a people who understand this idea of being financially prepared. Most of us, if a bad season happens to us, we're done. So think about it. What's financial preparedness? I need just to be able to mitigate my life if something bad happens. And life is in such a way that bad things happen. And we can't be thrown off because bad things happen. Understand this, needing tires is not an emergency. The devil is not attacking your life because you need a tire. That's called non-planning. I'm buying the devil. Why? My tire blew out. I said, curse you, devil. You're trying to take away my joy. And I'm like, really, that ain't the devil. That really is just you weren't planning. You didn't plan. Because your tires told you, I'm good for 50,000 miles. The day you bought them, they told you that. So how long have you been driving? I wasn't counting. Aha. I didn't get the road hazard. Aha. And then you never stored anything. So now buying that new tire is catastrophic for you. And you crying, you at Discount Tire crying in the morning. Sackcloth and ashes. I'm like, you're at Discount Tire. It's Discount Tire. It's your Discount Tire. Now, notice. So simple things that you would think. Health insurance. Why? Why do you get health insurance? Health insurance is not for your everyday, I got a headache stuff. Health insurance protects you from high unexpected medical costs. You can take it out. I apologize about that all. So if you can imagine, you have a heart attack. When EMS comes to get you, they're going to try to save your life. And so as medical personnel, they're going to do everything they can. The problem is, everything that they can is going to cost. And you can't predict if you're going to have a medical emergency. So you have health insurance for those times where you have this something pops up. Have a child, you got to have health insurance. Why? Because you're going to say, the child was standing on the steps, and they stood at the top of the steps, and they looked down, and they jumped. And you're like, you didn't see, you couldn't walk down the steps. Why would you jump? I didn't know. And now your child has a broken arm. It's not because of sin. It's just because the child is a child. But now you got a broken arm you got to deal with. That's not the devil. That's why you have insurance. Does that make sense? So very simple. So because here's the deal. I can't live my life in such a way that unexpected things don't happen to me. So that's why it's called insurance. And so you should have health insurance. Stop thinking I don't need it because I'm young. Why? No. If you're young, I won't even go there. Have a toothache. Forget about have a baby. Have a toothache. And then all of a sudden, dental insurance matters then. Because when you get the right toothache, you'll be like, cut my head off right now. Just if you just cut it off right there, you can do it right now. And so getting that taken care of, and you think it's easy, that's a costly endeavor. But if you had dental insurance, it would lessen the blow. That's all I'm saying. Doesn't make sense. Now, life insurance, why? Because if something happens to you, unfortunately, and here's a reality we got to deal with in the kingdom, people die. And here's another reality, you are people. So it means one day, you're going to die. So knowing that, understand this, that I've got to think, who's in my life who require or who need my annual income? Because if I died, how would my household and those who are around me be impacted? And so life insurance says, let me get something so that my annual income, when I die, will be replaced. An easy calculation is 8 times your salary. Easy calculation. How much should I get? Easy calculation, 8 times your salary. Why? Because you give them 8 years to put their lives back together. You give them money to take care of the living expenses. You give them money to take care of the mortgage, take care of the kids' education, and cover your funeral costs. And then they got a couple of years to put themselves together. See how simple that is? So think about it. When I'm thinking about life insurance, if something happens, understand this, it'll change as you get older. Because when the kids grow up, then have policies that fall off. I had policies for each one of my kids with my life so that as each one of my kids graduated college, that policy fell off. So now, Charles, you're on your own. Charlotte, on her own. I got a policy. Chase got another year. Chase is pushing it. Chancellor got another year and a half or so. But as they graduate and kind of launch out, I don't need that much insurance. I just need enough insurance then for living expenses, mortgage, funeral costs. Felicia, there you go, baby. There you go. Boom. Everybody got it. Good. Am I making sense? So people you love. And so think about that. So life insurance. So that means do you have health insurance? Good. Check the box. Do you have life insurance? No. So if something happens to you, your kids are going to go into poverty. That's right. That's a shame. And it'll be a shock. And your spouse is going to do what they can, but remember, they're grieving too. That's right. So do you have things aligned so that if something happens to me, I have this preparedness plan? Next thing, are we all right? You're all right. Real simple. 6 months of your cost of living. Have that cash somewhere available. 6 months of your cost of living. Why? Because you lose a job. Stuff happens. They lay you off. Stuff happens. Then you're not immediately homeless within a month. You got 6 months of living expenses that you have set aside to give you time to look for a job, because if you don't have 6 months, what's going to happen? You're going to have to get any job quick. So you're going to go get any job fast, and any job will hinder you from getting the job. Because now I'm so busy working, but I'm not making enough on any job, so I'm in a deficit all the time. But I can't leave any job to go to the job because that's going to take away from my time. So I'm caught in the loop. So having 6 months of your cost of living set aside, that's non-touchable. Then you can go to investments. Dr. Moody, I'm supposed to go to investment first. Let me tell you why. Why? Because if you don't have this, the minute you have an emergency, what you going to do? You're going to go to your investments. Your investments are money that's untouchable. So in chapter 22, verse 1 through 2, then David said, this is the house of the Lord. This is the house of the Lord God. And this is the altar of the burnt offering of Israel. So David commanded to gather the aliens who were in the land of Israel and appointed masons to cut and hewn stones to build our house of God. David did this. He says, man, I know what I got to do. So let me look around and let me see who is in this country. You're not a Levitical priest. You're not part of Aaron's rod. You're not from Aaron's rod. So you're not the Aaron line of priesthood. You're not the Levite line of priesthood. You are not a typical Jew. In fact, you're old Canaanites that have been left in the land. Everything else, you guys know this land. So I'll tell you what. And the scripture says that he counted 153,000. So he got 153,000 men and said, okay, you guys, your job is to go now and y'all going to go to the quarries and cut out stones because I'm getting things ready for the temple. I got a vision, but if my son's going to build this place, what I can do is I can prepare. So years before Solomon took the throne, David had 153,000. He took inventory of what he had and said, I've got to build this up. And he got 153,000 men to build up and to start building up the stones that were going to build the temple. Right. So the question that we have to ask ourselves is, have you taken inventory of your life and said, what do I got to build up to get in a better position?
Thank you for worshiping with us today. If you liked this message, you can find the rest at cmllcstore.com. We invite you to join us again for our extraordinary worship services every Sunday at 10:30 a.m., Sundays at 4 p.m., and Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Central, where Dr. Moody teaches how to understand the Bible, and you can get all your biblical questions answered. We look forward to connecting with you. We ask that you subscribe to The Rock ATX on YouTube and follow The Rock ATX on Facebook and Instagram to stay connected to all The Rock is doing. You can also get connected on our website at therockatx.org. Again, thank you for worshiping with us, and be blessed.